Welcome back to the deeper end of the human mind. We trust science to reveal the truth. But sometimes, the pursuit of truth takes us into dark, uncomfortable territory. Today, we are lifting the veil on the 10 most controversial psychology experiments ever conducted. These aren't just dry lab reports. These are the moments when researchers pushed the ethical boundaries to their breaking point. They uncovered profound, sometimes terrifying, truths about human nature. From obedience to conformity, and from fear to identity. These experiments changed how we understand ourselves, and in many cases, changed the course of psychological science forever. Prepare yourself. This is an intense journey into the dark side of behavioral research. Number 10. The Monster Study, 1939, conducted on 22 orphan children in Iowa. This experiment sought to prove that stuttering could be induced in fluent speakers. A group of children were deliberately subjected to negative speech therapy, being constantly told they had serious speech problems. The cruel goal was to see if negative labels could create a disability. While it didn't strictly induce long-term stuttering, it caused significant psychological distress and withdrawal in the subjects. The key takeaway was the immense, fragile power of labels and negative reinforcement on the developing psyche. Number 9. The Bobo Doll Experiment, 1961. This one is not controversial for its cruelty, but for its profound implication for society. Children watched an adult aggressively beat and yell at a large inflatable Bobo doll. Later, when left alone with the doll, the children immediately imitated the aggressive behavior. This experiment solidified the concept of observational learning and the massive impact of media violence on human behavior. It fundamentally changed the debate around television and violence, proving we learn through imitation. Number 8. The Third Wave Experiment, 1967. A high school history teacher created a fake totalitarian movement within his classroom. It was designed to explain how the German population could embrace the Nazi regime. He enforced strict discipline, salutes, and a strong sense of superiority and belonging. Within days, the students became fiercely loyal, began policing each other, and actively recruited non-members. The exercise spiraled out of control and had to be abruptly shut down. It proved how easily even bright, modern individuals can succumb to the allure of authoritarianism and group conformity. Number 7. The Aversion Project, 1970s, a state-sponsored program carried out by the South African military during the apartheid era. Its goal was to cure homosexual soldiers by using extreme forms of aversion therapy. This involved forced hormone injections, chemical castration, and highly unethical electroshock therapy combined with visual stimuli. The immense tragedy of this project showed the horrific intersection of state prejudice and the abuse of psychological science. It stands as a chilling reminder of psychiatry used as a weapon of systemic oppression. Number 6. The Learned Helplessness Dog Study, 1965. Dogs were strapped into harnesses and given electric shocks. One group could stop the shocks by pressing a lever, the other group could not. When later placed in a different box where they could escape the shocks simply by jumping a low barrier, the group that had previously been powerless simply laid down and accepted the shocks. They had learned helplessness. This landmark experiment, though ethically questionable, gave us the critical framework for understanding and treating human depression and trauma. Number 5. The Heaven's Gate Cult Study, 1950s. A study on cognitive dissonance by Leon Festinger and his team. They infiltrated a small doomsday cult that believed aliens would arrive on a specific date to save them before a great flood. When the prophecy failed, the cult members didn't lose faith. They doubled down. They rationalized the failure by saying their faith had saved the world. This experiment provided the foundational evidence for cognitive dissonance, the intense mental distress of holding two conflicting beliefs, and the human tendency to change beliefs rather than admit a mistake. Number 4. The Milgram Experiment, 1961. The most famous, and arguably most chilling, study of obedience. Participants were told to administer increasing electric shocks to a learner, an actor, every time they answered incorrectly. Despite hearing cries of pain and fear, 2/3 of the participants continued to the highest voltage simply because an authority figure in a lab coat told them to. It showed the deeply unsettling willingness of ordinary people to commit harmful acts under the pressure of authority. Number 3. The Stanford Prison Experiment, 1971. Students were randomly assigned the role of prisoner or guard in a simulated prison environment. The guards quickly became authoritarian and abusive. The prisoners became passive and distressed. The experiment was terminated after only 6 days due to the extreme psychological trauma and the speed with which people adopted and exploited their assigned social roles. It remains a disturbing case study on the corrupting influence of power and situational dynamics. Number 2. The Well of Despair, Harry Harlow's Experiments, 1960s. Harlow studied social isolation in rhesus monkeys. His later work involved the Well of Despair, where infant monkeys were kept completely isolated in dark, small, cone-shaped chambers for up to a year. The resulting psychological damage was catastrophic and permanent. While highly criticized for cruelty, these painful studies demonstrated the non-negotiable importance of early social bonding and maternal contact for healthy psychological development. Number 1. Project MK-Ultra, 1950s to 1970s. This wasn't a single academic study, but a clandestine, decades-long CIA program focused on mind control. It involved illegal human experimentation, including administering massive doses of LSD and other drugs, sensory deprivation, and hypnosis to create programmable assassins. The victims were often unaware or unconsenting. Its sheer scale, government backing, and horrific disregard for human rights make it the most ethically repugnant and influential psychological experiment ever conducted. The fallout forced a massive re-evaluation of government oversight and ethics in research worldwide. These 10 studies are a constant reminder: the greatest mysteries and the greatest dangers are often found within the confines of the human mind.